Hello everybody, welcome to Brighton. So standing behind me is, you can't believe this, on this playground, this very playground, it lies an air raid shelter. It's a very special air raid shelter, but you'll know more about that in your history lesson. But what an incredible place to go exploring for today. I've had special permission for this visit, so I'm very grateful for Take Shelter. All the links will be in the description box below. So first and foremost, let's go take a look at this incredible air raid shelter. I can't wait. Come on, let's go. In exploring any World War II air raid shelter or bunker, I'm often thinking of the emotions that the place held, because it's easy to forget that as we look back, that for anyone living through World War II, the threat of invasion from Nazi Germany could arrive at any day. The constant rumble of planes overhead and the sounds of air raid sirens is a haunting soundtrack that thankfully will be a time we hopefully never have to relive. So instead, it's places like the well-preserved air raid shelters at Downs Junior School in Brighton that we're looking at in this video that serve as a permanent reminder of a long-forgotten wartime past. It was around 1939 that the shelters were built. They were made from precast concrete panels approximately 3 metres below the playground, with benches along each one. They would be capable of holding 300 pupils and staff during school hours, but at night would provide shelter for the local community. When the war ended, like with most other school-based shelters, most were sealed up and forgotten about. But for this shelter, it was in 1983 that they were rediscovered due to a drain inspection on the site and found to be very unsafe. It was in 2012 that the shelter was restored by a team of volunteers led by Michael Button, the premises manager at Downs Junior School. And with this, they also created a mini museum at the school to shine a light on the area's wartime past. Eventually in 2016, hard work and dedication made it possible that the shelters could be opened for the public for the first time. And with this amazing hard work and passion, the shelters are a wonderful example of the importance of preserving history so that it can be shared for others to hopefully inspire and to think about a time that's gone, but definitely not forgotten. Wow, I'm so excited by this. So I'm literally just about to head down there. Obviously I'm taking you lot with me. This is just brilliant. I can't believe how lucky I am to have this amazing access and this privilege to explore this place. So without further ado, let's quit talking, Dan. Let's just go and do it. Come on. Right, so here I am. I'm in this wonderful little marquee bit here. And this is the official entrance for everybody to come down into. So, let's go and have a look. Let's check it out. Come on, let's go. So, we've made it inside, and the first thing that you're greeted with is this eerily haunting sound of air raid sirens going off. And it really reminds you of what this originally was used for and the threat of obviously Nazi Germany coming over with the dreaded, like I said, soundtrack, as you know, of like the planes and everything else. It just hits you straight away the moment you walk down these stairs. Now, as you can see, it's about 3-4 foot technically from ground level, and it splits off into 2 separate corridors. We're on the corner of one, and I'll explain the layout of it all in a minute. The other thing is you're going to encounter some TV screens which have these information sections on them, which again I'll cover, and also on the sides of the walls, really worth looking at. It comes out with stuff like this. So you've got a school logbook, for example, which says the 18th of September 1939, all declared in holiday, school reopened a fortnight later than usual owing to war conditions. All staff performed billeting duties for evacuees. Our school is now working a morning session, only 8:30 to 11:30 for a period, while visiting schools from Croydon use the building during the afternoon. These are examples. And then 5th of October 1939, school closed until the 11th for all teachers to make the survey of Brighton, rebuild it for evacuees. It's just one of these strange places that it's hard to grasp because it's not abandoned, and yet it still has this incredible atmosphere, which is surprising. I mean, I said to the guys up there, I said, it's surprising how much this place has an atmosphere. It's well lit, most sections, I'll come back to that in a minute, and yet just this atmosphere just hits you straight away. It's really, really interesting, but more importantly, let's keep having a look, because you're going to love this. Let's go. So here we are, it talks about Anderson shelters and Morrison shelters, the different types, gives you all the information and these wonderful little pictures that were taken to give you examples, to really immerse you in these experiences. Now, this is one of the information videos that gets played. I think the longest one's about 3 minutes. For the purpose of this channel, we're not going to play it all the way through, but we are allowed to press the button, which is brilliant. So it just gives you, I'm just going to give you a flavour of this place. The idea is really to encourage all of you to come down. As I always say, if you don't have that option to come down, hopefully I've just given you a really nice flavour of this place, so that it really just sort of makes you feel more immersed in this World War II experience that they're really trying to get you to sort of appreciate. So here we go. So this, before we start to press the red button, what they've done is they have, on this section, they've repurposed it to try and turn it into an Anderson shelter, so you get an idea. So obviously this wasn't originally an Anderson shelter, but this just gives you a recreation of it, which is helpfully adapted by the volunteers here. So again, it's just to sort of like show you these different types of shelters that were available. Originally, this place, this was the storage area. So this room here, this tiny room, would have been used for storage, and it's the only, I think it's the only storage section in the shelters here. So yeah, but here we are, and you can have a look. I mean, to be fair, you don't get this in even many museums, so the fact you're in here in a place like this, really amazing. And the actual artefacts, the lighting's a bit bad around the corner for me, so hang on a minute, I might have to get my old torch out, if you bear with me, everybody, just so I want you to have a look at this properly. So let's have a look, let's try and get our torch out. There we go. So there we go, because this is really interesting. So it says National Dried Milk, there you go, original one. Isn't that amazing? Just so good. Right, okay, so let's press the button and let's get immersed into this.
I was 7, my brother was 5 when war was declared. We lived in Thornton Heath, and we arrived at the school with our parents to join all of the children that were going to be evacuated. And when we arrived at Brighton Station, we were in a state of high excitement, really, because a long train journey with all our friends, children we knew. But at Brighton Station we were ushered onto double-decker green buses, which of course we'd never seen before, and we went off on what seemed quite a long journey. They called the children from the bus, took them, introduced them to the person in the house, and we were just left there.
As we walk round. So what I didn't mention, which is fairly obvious I suppose to some of you, these parts here are the original benches that would have been here. Now these are really the only sections, so when you see these bits of wood that jut out, these are the only original sections that are left. There's no whole benches. In fact, they were sort of saying that when they came down here, they pretty much disintegrated the moment they sort of touched them. So to even have these tiny little surviving chunks is really interesting. But when you look down, you can see the layout of the benches, because you can see where they would have come across. We've seen these familiar, if you're familiar with my channel, you've seen them. So the benches would have gone from obviously on both sides. But you can see the layout, because this is where the little would have jutted up, the little bit of wooden support really for the benches, and you can see they're all clearly marked out. Absolutely incredible, really just brilliant. And again, what we were sort of saying about the concrete capping, as you probably know from the history lesson, and then you've got the mesh there as well, which obviously, like anything over time, was slowly rotting away. But don't worry, the structure still remains intact, as you can well see for yourselves. So let's just keep going, because there's so much more amazing stuff to see. So, here is a replica of our 1940s bedroom. So, what I would like to say about this is that originally this would have been the entrance behind there. It would have been a staircase, which what we're going to do is when we go out, I'm going to show you where the two original entrances were. So what we've done is, as you probably imagine, we've gone down one of the escape hatches really, which is the main route for everybody to take. So the two original entrances are now completely blocked off. You've got to imagine that actually, in a strange way, we've obviously done a figure L, basically. So we've come from the escape hatch, come down this corridor, come down, and that would have been one of the original entrances. So it's kind of hard to imagine it now, but that's what would have been there. And then it carries on, and yeah, let's actually, do you know what, let's just keep going, I reckon. So now it goes into this sort of strange, sort of like snake-like pattern, although what I'll explain is that the layout of this is a figure of 8. So as it was in the history lesson, it holds 300 pupils and staff. I need to make it really clear. So that's what it would have held, and it's in a figure of 8. So if you picture number 8, and in the middle you've got an interlinking section, so 2 circles in essence. They were all trench. They were trench shelters, so reinforced, which is what you can see. And then obviously you've got an interlinking corridor between both of the sort of like loops. Yeah, hopefully you understand that. Here is another section which talks about 1940s kitchen. And it talks about rationing, and the idea is that what they were saying was that as you walk through, they're trying to sort of. The idea is that when you walk through, you get flavours of different parts of the war. So you're sort of obviously starting off with understanding what different shelters there were. As you come through, it shows you a different part section of a house, a 1940s house. When you get here, it talks about rationing, which is obviously what you can see on these pictures. And then it just gives you a little flavour of this with the ration books. Now, my gran and my granddad, I remember very distinctly having ration books. Very, very distinctly remember them still having them. I think we've probably still got them at our house. But all of this stuff, again, by the volunteers, have just done such an incredible job of just recreating stuff like this. So it just gives you an idea of what this is all about. Isn't that brilliant? And again, our remnants of our benches. Right, let's keep going. Okay. I was saying the atmosphere in this place is incredible. It really, there is something about the atmosphere here that is just really draws you in. It really immerses you. What we've got here is we've got some examples of construction, and these were, so this is St John's School at Carlton Hill. And this Brighton, 20th September 1939. And this is exactly the same layout, basically, of what we're looking at. So if you can take a look at that, and you can look here, we can see the roofing. And then here it says, area shelters being dug out at St Luke's School. Brilliant. And then air raid shelters being dug at Queen's Park School. So again, all these air raid shelters being dug out all over the Brighton area. It's amazing to sort of think that apart from this one, really, and Whitehawk, which is sort of unfortunately had seen better days, really this is the only surviving one that we can all visit, general public, you and I, which just, it blows my mind. And I'm just so pleased that when they said that they get regular visitors down here, and it's just absolutely brilliant to sort of see that. They get schools from other, well, even other counties, I think, come down here and they explore it. It's just beautiful, and it's a beautiful testament that obviously it's just encouraging everybody to sort of come down here and explore these shelters, because there just aren't that many around anymore, especially ones that have been lovingly restored, really. At this school, at Girls Junior, the Year 5s are the year group that come down here and do their World War II bit of history, and they get to explore these properly. So it's absolutely incredible. Most of them are sort of like primary schools that do come down. I don't think they've actually had any secondary schools that come down here. But obviously, if you're a member of the general public, on these open days, you can visit no matter what. So I thoroughly recommend you should do it. But we've got to keep looking. Let's do it. So here we are, we're at the interlinking section of the air raid shelter. And it's quite scary when you sort of first come around it, because what you're encountered with is this sort of mannequin here, and it's quite like, oh god, it takes your breath away for a first bit. And then you've got another, I think these are air purifiers, you've got another escape hatch there. But if I turn the light off, you've got the dull sense of the lantern here, so let me just turn this off. Ignore the noise, look how dark that is. Just that eerie flickering light. But this is the interlinking section, and what you notice is that these are the reconstructed benches, and they're all around here, especially even in the interlinking section as well. But that's so, it does sort of take your breath back when you first see something like this. You're like, wow, okay. But like I said, this is the interlinking corridor between both sections, and we've got to keep going round, because what you'll notice is that it now sort of goes round and goes round again, and then we've got to go back round. So yeah, it all goes in a circle, so it's all good. So let's just keep looking. Okay, so this is the bit where it gets a bit weird, because you sort of feel that it's a dead end, because it says mind your head and there's a door. This is a map of where it says where we are. So here we are, Downs Junior School, and it's beautiful really, because it puts a lot of things in context when you look at this, and obviously you know that you're not actually that far away from the railway line. But this is the interesting stuff. So I'm not gonna pick it up, because obviously that wouldn't be right. But this gives you a figure 8 section of what we're looking at. So that's the interlinking corridor that I sort of mentioned, and then obviously it just sort of juts out and snakes round, and we can go all the way back round here. Obviously the difference between this is that where we probably are will be one of our hatches, which is there. And then there's our sort of entrance points, but this just gives you the section, and this obviously shows you the photo that you've seen, which is about digging the trenches. Brilliant how they've still kept these photos. But all of this stuff here was the stuff that they'd found. They'd actually found these original newspapers. They were still down in these. So these weren't in, I need to make this clear. So all of this stuff that was found were actually in the 2 corresponding air raid shelters, which obviously we can't visit. This is the main one. This is the one that fits 300. The other 2 air raid shelters that are on site, which are completely buried underground, there's sections of them, not full sections, from what I remember him saying. What he'd found when they'd first uncovered these were these original bits of newspaper. Everything that you're seeing here was found. So there's a little shoe, another little shoe, a little milk bottle, I think they are, aren't they? But these newspapers that they'd found from the Evening Argus, there you go. I mean, they'd found all of this. Now we know as explorers that looks like a child's toy, doesn't it? Can you see that, with little pedals? And we know as explorers that if we ever do find stuff like that, it's truly amazing to find articles that date to this site. Because as we said before, with these air raid shelters, especially this one, it was quite a high likelihood from what we know, this would have been used as a communal air raid shelter in the evening, so school in the daytime, and then afterwards, obviously, for the evening, for use for pretty much all the other residents that are around here. Which just really encapsulates that, and it's something I think sometimes gets forgotten about these air raid shelters, that the schools air raid shelters, it wasn't just necessarily for the schools pupils themselves, that they did in the evening get changed over most of the time for like the community, which is just so, you know, it sounds so obvious to us now, doesn't it? But it just really puts into context of the amount of people that would have facilitated this. And I think that's the thing that I always try to get across the point, is that it fitted 300 people at any one point, but that could have been children to elderly people, all in one swathe. So let's keep going anyway. Isn't this just brilliant? Let's keep going. There's a very good reason why there's a door behind there to shut this off, and this is the most immersive experience you can appreciate this on the shelter. Now again, I don't really want to give too much away, because obviously I know some of you will desperately want to come down and visit this the moment it gets reopened to the public. What you can see is that you're allowed to sit down, and it's very dark. It's a little bit dark, you know, it's a little bit, and all of a sudden this atmosphere changes. And there's a very good reason for that, because if I press this button, you'll find out why.
Made it down here in record time. I'm really proud of each and every one of you. Please move up close. I know it's very cramped in here, but we won't be in
So the seats are currently rumbling at the moment as I'm sitting down.
The toilet's at the back, but let's try and hold on, because I'm sure we won't be down here too long. If you listen carefully,
the whole room's starting to shake.
You hear just in the distance. Closer, but don't worry, they're just flying over. They'll not be near us, so everything will be okay. Don't panic. They're far away. Don't worry about anything. If you're worried about any of your friends or family members, they'll all be safe in the air raid shelter. Remember, all your teachers are like me. They're air raid
really weird.
And they're working all over Brighton, and other people are working all over Brighton to keep your family members safe. And they're in shelters like these. If you think how thick the walls are, how deep they are,
the door behind us. The door behind us.
That's very close, but don't worry. Everything is okay. Remember what I said about the thickness of walls and how your family are safe and secure. Please don't panic. If you listen carefully, I think it was just one. That's okay, it's past. Don't panic. Well done, everyone. I'm really, really proud of you. You're totally safe.
I would like us all to recognise the loyalty to duty of the staff here at Downs Junior School following 6 long years of war. Hours on end have been spent crowded into these cold, damp trenches, but all the teachers remained cheerful and helpful so that the children were happy and unafraid.
That was like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. That was really weird. The whole place started shaking, the lights started flickering, and the moment that bomb went off, it was just really immersive. You genuinely feel like it's I'm going to say this, that is easily one of the best things I've ever experienced when it comes to World War II interactive history. I mean, that was the best. I'm going to say it. It's an incredible project. I remember the guys showing me around, and they were like, you know, this is one of these things you're going to really love. And the moment I pressed that button, wow, what an incredible experience. The whole thing was shaking. The door that I entered from, which you could see, started shaking. It was a surreal experience. But it really brought it to life. It felt like, even though the benches were vibrating, the whole place was shaking. So I was leaning against one of these pillars. My word, I could feel that as well. It was like properly vibrating. It was incredible. Wow, I'm not going to forget that in a hurry. That alone was incredible, and that alone should be encouragement for you lot to come down here and check this out, just to experience this. I really mean it. One of the most incredible World War II immersive experiences I've ever experienced. That really is going to make me think more about every time I do an air raid shelter now. That feeling of tension and everything else. Truly incredible. I had to sit down for a few minutes just to compose myself. That was an experience, like I said, like nothing else. Again, there's a door here because you really want to be in as little darkness as possible. I'm sorry if that didn't come out as well as it could have done, but trust me when I say it was just incredible. So we're now at the top half of the air raid shelter, and in front of us is another escape hatch. Now, it's just surreal experience now. The moment you come out of there, your whole mindset completely changes. You can see they've still got these incredible information plaques with original photos which said about, like, for example, the head of a planned invasion is as the Germans prepared photographs of UK as well as details of industry and infrastructure. Do you know what? I'm still a bit blah, 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 blah about that. That was so incredible. It's one of the things you always dream of that really puts into context at the moment that you and I explore, or that you've ever had the chance to explore an air raid shelter, and to actually hear those noises, to really be immersed in it, really has taken me quite aback. I mean, like I said, I sat in there for a good couple of minutes after, and even now I'm still a bit, wow, that's really made me think a lot more. Brilliant. So, here we are. It's just so surreal to sort of just have this all to myself. I cannot tell you how privileged I am. So now we're in the Army and Navy section, and you can see one of the original uniforms here, and these original artefacts. And don't worry, I will take you up into the museum in a minute, because that's just as important and just as interesting. More importantly, there's a few things I'll discuss when we're up there. Again, brilliant photos here to help picture what it would have been like, as well as the actual artifacts themselves. We've seen a lot of this stuff, or some of you probably have, like ammunition crates, for example. And this is really cool. This was I think it was from a Spitfire, not a Hurricane, a wheel. The Ingradoom. Like a pilot's hat there, for example. Bomber navigation sextant. Really, really amazing. And then this fine dapper chap here, dressed up in his RAF gear. Amazing. Quite small, there's no way I would have fitted into that. But as we know, most of our pilots probably would have been, well, they were very young, weren't they? So, yeah, nowhere like a big lad like me would be able to sneak into one of them things anymore. So here we are. So like I said, we're coming into the sort of Battle of Britain section. Again, how to identify warplanes. It's just packed full of information. I said, I'm only trying to really give you a snippet of stuff here, really. Crash planes provided rich pickings for local children. My dad could have testified to that. I remember him saying that when he was growing up, especially where we lived, that there was a few little wrecks and everything that he would sort of get artefacts, and that probably helped him being a metal detectorist. So yeah, coming out of the army, etc., etc. That's my dad's life. But yeah, but again, even like I said, looking at stuff like that makes you think about your parents and your grandparents who experienced all this stuff. So looking out at our other escape hatch here, leads out onto the playground. Walking around. Preparations for D-Day. It starts now to talk about D-Day landings and its impact again. So this was at Preston Park. So again, it relays the local history from Brighton and the Sussex coastal area. US troops loading for D-Day. Again, they said this is all on the Keep's records, their archives. D-Day, as we know, 1944, 6th of June. So this is one thing here that you can, if we press this button, it'll allow us to hear from this. Oh, I mean, isn't that brilliant? I'm not going to do that for today. I feel that that's something you've got to experience for yourself. But if you press that, it'll immerse you in. And it says about Dwight D. Eisenhower. It says the Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces. And this was his speech broadcast by the BBC about the invasion. D-Day landings. There we go. Again. Just this brilliant. So now we're coming into the part where it's going to cut in and then go across. So we're following our sort of figure of 8 now. And again, as we look down, the outline of these benches that would have been here. Do you ever get to see this much? I don't think you do. I think it's just so incredible, isn't it? So this was a letter that was written to the schools, and it says they received this on the 8th of June 1946, so a good time, a reasonable time after the war. It says, I send this personal message to you and all the other boys and girls at school, for you have shared in the hardships and dangers of a total war, and you have shared no less than the triumph of the Allied nations. As I know you will always feel proud to belong to a country which was capable of such supreme effort. Proud too of parents and elder brothers and sisters who by their courage, endurance and enterprise brought victory. May these qualities be yours as you grow up and join in the common effort to establish among the nations of the world unity and peace. There you go. Signed by the King. I thought that would be quite a nice little thing to sort of show you. Let's keep going though. We've got a few more amazing things to see. So let's do it. Well, it wouldn't be a Phoenix history video if we didn't visit a bunker or a shelter without obviously looking at the toilet facilities, because I know it's what everybody's obviously always interested in, always make a joke of it. But there we are. There's a few toilets here, and we're just going to focus on these ones because these ones are being reconstructed. Now what you can see is that there's wooden panelling. None of this is original, just want to add, but this is what they would have had. So this is actually the layout of what they would have had. So they would have had a split screen here and then 2 little shutters. And as we look down, there's one of our little toilets there. Not going to look in it. But yeah, this is one of our little toilets. Like I said, most toilets were different, as you know. Sometimes they just had courtesy curtains, etc., etc. But these ones would have actually originally had shutters exactly like this. So as I can sort of show you, you can shut the door, and then as we look round, this is our other side of our figure of 8 trench. Other figure of 8 of our. This is our sort of interconnecting section. Sorry, I should say. And of our trench air raid shelter. That's what I was trying to say. And yeah, there you go. I still think that's quite, like I say, it's quite weird if you're not familiar with it and you see that and you're like, wow, that could have been a ghost. I'm assured, however, nobody passed away in here, so it's okay. There's no fear of any people who are going to hopefully surprise me. They're haunted anyway. And here we go again. So again, these were toilets, which, like I said, they've converted in. That's, like I said, a reconstruction one. But we've got here, it talks about World War II casualties. The amazing sort of, like I said, you know, poppies. As you can probably tell, I am wearing mine today as well. There you go, for significance. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. Now what we're going to do is we're going to walk through, head left, and then go around. We're not too far away now, so let's keep going. Right, so here we are. We're at one of the most important boards as far as I'm concerned, which is a thank you from the Take Shelter. That they said to the following businesses and individuals. Obviously, there's Michael there at the top. It's just been amazing. Really, really brilliant. As we look down, if you ignore my tripod there. But we've come to the end pretty much, and that familiar sound as the moment we entered of the air raid shelter. And what's really good about this is that on this section, this would be as you exit anyway, as you come out. It shows you what this really looked like, the sort of state of it originally, and the hard work, like we said, that's gone into this to really preserve this and to do the best job possible. A couple of volunteers there, amazing. Like I said, all the hard work trying to decorate. That's the rationing that we saw, the kitchenette. Again, brilliant, isn't it? Really, really brilliant. And there we are for them. Take shelter. I'm incredibly grateful for who have invited me, or I've been invited to come down, document it, just to hopefully encourage as many of you to come down as possible. And it's quite nice that this is one of the, said, like, you can see the meshing coming through really on these bits. Like I said, it's, you know, you expect it down here. There we go, support our crowdfunder campaign. I'm going to put links and everything, I'll say that when we get out. So you can hopefully help if you want to. Check out our campaign. And it would be originally here that when you go on the website, the idea is that they want to try and make a little stairwell for more ease of access. The only way you can get down is the way that I came down, that you saw. But the idea is that they want to get rid of this and then make it a little bit more accessible for more people. But here we are, back to where we started. Wow. What a journey. I need to take you upstairs now and show you a few more really exciting bits. So stay with me and let's go and do it. Right, so I've made it out. And I just want to point out a few things whilst we're here, and then I'm going to take you to the mini museum. So this is the playground. This is the playground. That is the second escape hatch, and that's the first one within the marquee. The original entrances, there would have been one facing here with a sort of staircase bit there, and there would have been another one which is where the canteen was, and then the other two air raid shelters were sort of over there in the distance, but this covers the whole of the playground. Now I know what you're wondering about this drainage pot here. That is only at the level of the roof of the air raid shelter. So it's not that big. In fact, you can see a pipe that goes all the way through. And then if we look here, we can see, excuse the wind, that this is the other escape hatch, pretty much equidistant to the original entrance that would have been here, looking down. So again, facing that way. So it's quite a substantial air raid shelter. It literally just covers the whole of this playground. Really is amazing to sort of think that that's what it does. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. It's amazing to sort of think that you're literally underneath a playground that you wouldn't know about because it's just completely covered up. So when you put the lids on, you wouldn't know any different. But what we need to do now is, now that we've seen all this, I think the best thing to do is to have a look at the wonderful little, tiny little museum they've got. So let's go and do it. Oh, really? So as a little caveat towards the end, I did mention about us going into the museum and just having a brief little look. So there's 4 cabinets here, and we're in the canteen of the school. And this is the incredible gas mask collection that has been kindly sort of built up and donated. And it's, they reckon it might be one of the, sort of, maybe one of the largest collections of gas masks here. Maybe the Imperial War Museum might have a bigger collection, but it's certainly a huge collection. There's still a few more to collect, but it's just amazing. You can see all the different types. I'm sure some of you out there, you World War II enthusiasts that I know too well, have probably got a few of these. In fact, I know I've got one. That was the one that I originally had, which was an early one, which is a World War I gas mask. I remember that very well. In fact, I had it very similarly in those colours, although I never wore it because it scared me. But we've got all these. See, my dad, I think my dad had a classic 44 pattern lightweight one. In fact, he's probably still got that somewhere. And it's just a brilliant collection and variation. It really makes you think. You've got these little information board bits here as well. The baby protective helmet. I think that's quite an infamous one for most of you if you've ever seen it. The idea of designing to have a baby fitting into it. You can see carry cases, the gas masks and accessories. It's literally all here. Even up to a little miniature of a Second World War cavalryman. And then, as we walk across, we can see our other cabinets here. Of our helmets, our wardens, ARP. And there was the guys were mentioning that they restocked this, so the tin was empty, and then they'd refitted it. So amazing to think of how much that could store inside it. Your badges, Red Cross prisoners gift box. Look at that. And then we've got some ordnance here. There you go. So, got some shells, little compass, bugle. And this is all in the canteen of the school. And then our final bit here, which is about the food. Coupon books. We saw a ration book down there, didn't we? There's another one there. A little suitcase that the kids would have carried, and it talks about the county council school number would have been given out. And then plimsolls, I was saying that I had exactly the same pair. I'm sure some of you, especially my age, would definitely have those. Little Wellingtons, amazing. Right. So there you go. These are our cabinets, everyone. Right. So I just want to say thank you, massive thank you to Alastair and Michael. Michael's obviously mentioned in history lesson because he was the volunteer who redid it up, really. Is that the polite way of saying it? They've been kind enough to show me around today, and it's absolutely been one of the best days I can have. I mean, so I'm so grateful for both of these. All the links down below for all of you out there to check it out. Please, if you have an opportunity when it's open to the public, on those select days, all the information will be down on their website, and also the other videos that Alastair has made especially for the shelter. Like I said, this video is just an encouragement for all of you out there, and if you can't come down here, hopefully it's just giving you a little bit of a snippet, more importantly, of just understanding what a preserved air raid shelter in schools like this is, because as we know from the channel, we've seen these, but we haven't seen them in this good condition. So thank you so much, guys. Is there anything you want to put down on the, just to mention anything else?
Just thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming down. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Really appreciate the visibility of the project.
I feel really nervous now. I hope this comes out right, but yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys. Thank you to all of you for watching. Like I said, please go down there and check out the links below. And in immortal words of Phoenix history, because history matters, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care. Thank you so much, guys. See you later, everybody. Bye for now.